Hey everyone, I'm Lucy. I live in a yurt with my two children, Ramona and Juno, and my other half, Tim. We've been off-grid for 4 years, and we also live a life without school. Basically, it means that we just absolutely trust that our children will learn everything they need to learn simply by having a nurturing, creative environment around them and following up on their own curiosity-driven learning urges. Thank you to those of you who have bought trees for our land via 4000trees.org. That is so super cool of you, and I love seeing your names and your messages of support, and I hope that that feels really cool that you own a little bit of a forest in New Zealand. It's really winter here now, oh my goodness. At the start of every winter we kind of shuffle our yurt around a little bit. We close our double patio doors that go straight out onto the deck, and we put furniture in front of them because we want people to use our side door, which means gumboots and muddy clothes and wet jackets can all be left in our kind of porch. If we have our double doors open, we just get mud and rain just kind of walked straight into the yurt. Also, Tim found this amazing retro furniture in a secondhand shop for like $100, and so he bought it all, which is cool because it's beautiful. But we did have to do a lot of wriggling around to try and fit it in here, and now basically we're like a retro chair shop, but I'm not complaining. So winter has hit the fan. We had our first frost this morning, which was a great joy for all the children who love collecting frost in pots. Please just leave my love alone, and please don't be just another.
I found some ice.
What the?
Oh wow, wow, that's a good one. Got a rainbow in it.
Freezing.
Yeah, not so cold, like really warm.
Pretty.
I went down to see the cows. You know, we have these Highland cows, and they're just absolutely, it's like they were made for this or something. So when we tell people that we don't go to school and that we just trust our kids to learn what they need to learn, they often seem to think that that means we're gonna sneakily teach them. And it's actually not at all like that. When we first began, I have to admit, doing a little bit of that. I can remember being on a beach with Ramona. She was like 3 years old, and I was using pebbles to write out her name, and I couldn't understand why she wasn't even remotely interested in her name. Now I understand a little bit more about how the brain works, and I feel utterly confident that my job is not to just stealthily put learning in their way, because I can see every day that they bring exactly what they need to learn to themselves through play, curiosity, and flow. In fact, if I lean any way at all when it comes to reading, writing, all those kind of learning skills that people expect very young children to have, if I lean anywhere at all, it's well against teaching. I actually think that unless a child very obviously asks to be taught and they seem utterly ready for it, apart from those exceptions, I think by and large children should be protected from the need to read and write. And this is all to do with the right brain and the left brain. So the right brain is all about creativity, it's very zen, it's very communally minded, it's all about I am one with the universe. It's about entering an almost euphoric flow state. That is all the goods of the right brain. And you know what? Children are born and exist in that right brain zone until quite a lot later in childhood. And then, in later childhood, the left brain kicks in. And the left brain is all about analytics, problem solving, rational thinking. It's all about the planning, the strategy, and it's all about me as an individual. And at one point in childhood, a kind of bridge gets built between the right brain and the left brain, which means that then you can kind of start utilizing both, and things like reading and writing become much more easy. Trying to get a child to read while they're still living out of their right brain is like asking them to do something before they've got all the mechanics ready to do it. It kind of like short circuits the natural process for reading that the brain already has. So if they're really still acting out of their right brain, they can only really use sight to learn to read. But if you can wait long enough until the bridge between the hemispheres is built, then they'll be able to use phonetics and all that kind of thing, the full brain to learn reading, and are much less likely to have problems later on and much more likely to enjoy reading. In an ideal world, we'll kind of like live our lives drawing good stuff from the right brain and good stuff from the left brain. But actually what happens is our right brain kind of shrivels a little because those kind of creative euphoric zen zones are not really, they don't have a massive place in a kind of stressful, success-driven society. So that sort of like shrivels in most kind of kids and teens and adults, and the left brain really thrives. And I see my job as an unschooling mama to really protect the right brain zone that my children live in, because I really feel like living in that for as long as you possibly can is a great gift that will last for your whole life. That your right hemisphere will be like a muscle that is really strong and a kind of foundation for life that allows you to tap into your creative side, your spiritual side forever. So I'm really happy to see them just over here in their right brain non-stop, and I do not want to interrupt that right brain flow by sneaking in there with a little bit of reading and a little bit of writing. In the early parts of childhood, the best things we can do to help our children to read is not to sneakily teach them reading or coercively get them reading. It is to give them heaps of opportunities to move their body, because physical movement, the building of muscle memory and fine motor development, is all building synapses that help a child become more reading ready. And kind of interrupting your kids' play and your kids' flow in order to teach them something is really not how children naturally are inclined. And also dividing the day up, as schools tend to do, into like very short little wham bam learning points. So in a morning, a classroom might be taken from reading to play to maths to writing to geography or something. They might kind of try and fit in all these different subjects, and they'll go swish, swish, swish from one to the other. And actually, when you observe children without any interruption, they go long and they go deep into their learning. Have a really great example of this from just yesterday when we were all just chilling around at home, and I thought, I'll just bring my camera out and try and take a little snippet of the day. And so the day began by the children emptying their treasure cupboards. They've both got these little cupboards where they put things that they love, and Juno pulled out a little basket of acorns that she had collected. And then we remembered acorn fairies that we'd seen at a Waldorf camp we went to, so we decided to make some. We had great fun making the little acorn fairies. And once the glue gun came out, the children, while I was doing something else, glued random little bits all over the fridge and on the kettle. They were just having such a blast. But then they decided to make a little world inside a suitcase for their fairies to go. So then they spent a lot of time bringing things from all over the yurt and really getting creative and making little things for their fairy world. And then while they were finding all the little things, Ramona found her bird caller. So then she went out onto the deck and she was calling the birds with her little whistle. But that was actually all about the fairies as well, because then she was like, I'm calling the birds so they can talk to the fairies and tell them that we've made them a little fairy world and there's some acorn fairies here to meet them. And then after that, they really went whoo, and they dropped into this imagination zone. Juno became a fairy, and then they created this big idea of a fairy ball, and Juno came and danced. But instead of dancing to music, she danced to the bird call that Ramona was whistling. Ramona took the bird call to the next level and started looking up New Zealand bird calls.
Is this the female or the male?
It's a male.
is this female?
and trying to memorize them and seeing if she can mimic them with her whistle.
I'm just gonna try and make a hawk noise.
Somewhere in there as well they played a memory game with the fairy cards, which I don't even know where they found that box of fairy cards, but they found it and brought it into their big imagination game. And the whole thing was all in the kind of container of this one imagination game. And it literally lasted from 11 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. And then at 9 o'clock at night, we're all yawning and we're like, I think maybe let's go to bed and read Winnie the Pooh. And they're like, but we just want to keep playing our game. So am I worried that my children don't read? I am not at all worried. All the research coming out, there's been some just come out from the University of Cambridge, and it says that there's no benefits to being an early reader. In fact, there seems to be only negative relationships. So readers that start later from 7 plus, by the age of 11 are reading at the same standard, but they've got better text comprehension and they've got much more positive reading attitudes, so they actually love reading a lot more than early readers. This is coming out of, you know, one of the top universities in the world. I'm almost certain that Ramona is going to learn to read, and she is intrinsically motivated to do that, and I think that will be, she's absolutely in love with music and Spotify. She spends hours listening to music and finding new songs on Spotify, and I have a really strong feeling that she's going to learn to read by looking up song lyrics and artists and titles, because at the moment that's kind of what we do. She asked me to spell out A-V-R-I-L, Avril Lavigne. It's a favourite. Rock star. And I just know that reading will happen so fast once the hemispheres are connected up really securely and once she has the intrinsic motivation. So when she fully understands that reading will be an open door on song lyrics, I think that's when she's just gonna go with her learning around reading. And meanwhile, she's getting an absolutely amazing memory. Studies have found that late readers have much more exceptional memory skills, and she is becoming so adept at so many other skills every single day. Unschooling parents just need to absolutely trust that process, that when their child is ready, that might be really late. There's an amazing the person that wrote Boy, an amazing New Zealand film, but he's also done a TEDx talk about how he actually didn't learn to read until he was 15, and it's more of a bit of an indictment on the school system because they didn't even pick it up. Oh, that kind of sucks. But it also says that you can be such a late learner, you can learn to read when you're 15 and still be an absolutely incredible, creative human being. In fact, maybe his name is Wellbeings. But you know, maybe he's a great example because he couldn't read until he was 15. He was actually able to spend a lot of time in that right brain, and then he just became this like blow your mind creative. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for buying trees. If you want to hear more from me, you can join in with my Patreon community. There's a link below if you want to check that out. I write things each week to share with you guys and share a lot of photos and stuff. Wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for watching. Keep radical and much love to you. Mwah.